Good morning ladies. Now I've got the camera positioned where you can see the silhouette of my head. So I'm not really going to put my face on camera for now. Woo, because it's going to be easier to leave that position there and let you follow on with me from there. So this morning we're going to paint this beautiful rolling seascape. I'm just going to show you that on the screen to remind you. Lots of like pinky oranges and silvery colours. So hopefully a couple of you are going to drop on, but we're going to have a little bit of white on our palette this morning, and maybe some, I think maybe some yellow and pink to get that nice orangey colour would be good. So I'm going to start with a bit of yellow and some pink. So I've got the cadmium yellow and the quinacridone rose pink. I'm hoping a couple of you will drop on. And we'll go from there, and then we'll add some colours in. So we'll start with those to get our nice pinky orangey sky. Good morning, Sally. How are you? Actually, I'm going to turn the canvas this way, so can we still see that on the screen? Yes, hopefully. Just move it across a little bit. That's it. So we are going to start by painting our sky. So I'm going to start with my 1-inch brush, dabbing it in a little bit of water, and I'm going to make like a bit of a line of where my sky is going to go. So I'm going to use a bit of pink and a bit of yellow and make like a nice orangey colour and some white, maybe like a peachy colour, which seems to be the kind of main part of that sky. So in this original photo, we want to have our sky kind of just the quarter at the top. So I'm going to start with painting a line in and just having that as my kind of basic where I'm going to paint up to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to really just paint this sky in very free with my 1-inch brush and just let it be like yellowy, pinky with a bit of white, like a nice peachy kind of colour. I'm going to take a little bit more white there, a bit more water, just to bring that line. Whee! It doesn't matter too much where and how your line is, because we're going to put those lovely dark buildings in anyway, so we can straighten up when we do that. But what I'm going to do for this one is paint in the peachy kind of background. Sorry about the shadow of my head. I'll try and keep it over here. Does that work when I do that? Yeah, you just get the shadow of my arms. It's not too bad. It's where the light sits, but then I've got the curtain closed, so the light doesn't come from there. So we're going to stick with this kind of peachy colour for our sky to start with. And then we can add in some sort of darker clouds and whiter clouds towards the top and the bottom afterwards. So just painting straight across to get this nice peachy colour. So I'm just using a bit of yellow, a bit of pink and a bit of white. And if you make it too dark or you're doing bits that you're not so keen on, add some more white to lighten it up. Add a bit of water. Mine's gone a bit more yellowy now. I don't really mind what kind of colour it is, but I think as we get towards the top, maybe it does seem to go a bit more pinky. So I'm going to add some stripes of pink in there. I just ran out of yellow, won't be a minute. All my yellow tubes are quite empty actually. Might need a top up. So as I'm going up the canvas a bit, I'm definitely adding a bit more pink to start making like a little bit darker at the top there. And as I say, we'll add some darker colours in afterwards anyway. See if we can get that nice, I love that kind of silvery colour in the sea on this one. I'm just going to take a bit of pink and whee! That's nice and pink, isn't it? I'm going to calm that down a little bit with some yellow and white. I really like that peachy colour, it's so nice. So if you play around with it in your own way, then you'll get your colour combination, because as we know, it isn't always about making it exactly the same as what I'm doing or what the picture's doing. It's about putting your little artistic twist on it and painting it in your way with your style. Okay, so I quite like that actually, because when we're painting this one, just going by the original painting, the picture, sorry, the sky does seem to come across a little bit this way. So I'm definitely aiming for that a little bit up there. So I'm going to just take a little bit of white on my brush. I'm not going to swirl my brush. I'm just going to take some white on the edge there and just kind of pull in some, just a bit of wispiness going on down here in the sky to give it a bit of a brighter edge there. And then what I'm going to do for the silvery bit at the top is I'm going to experiment and see what happens. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, this, I'll show you the blue in a sec, the cerulean blue that I'm using. I'm going to take a bit of that. I'm going to take a very small, tiny bit of black and white, and we're going to see if we can get a mixture of a kind of a silvery, it's like a silvery purple, I suppose, maybe a little bit of pink would, maybe we'll try a little bit of pink, a little bit of blue, a little bit of black and a little bit of white. So we'll start with some pink, or maybe get like a bit of a purpley colour going on. We might not need black. We'll take a bit of white. Maybe we do need a bit of black. Just a dot of black. That's quite a nice colour. Maybe add a bit more blue, maybe add a bit more pink. There isn't really a way to do this, just for you to play around with it, but using those colours, using that pink that's in the painting already is quite a nice way to do it. And I'm just gonna wisp in some darker cloud. Just kind of letting the brush be a bit wispy. Just adding in that little bit of darker cloud there. What I might do is take some pink and white as well and just sort of go under that a little bit to sort of blend it in a little bit. Just play around with it in your own way, because you want it to be dark, but you want it to sort of blend in as well. So that's quite nice. And I'm just gonna leave. That's all I want to do with mine. Actually, maybe I'm just gonna do one last little thing with the sky there, and that's just take some white on my brush, and just on the ends of the brush there, and just sort of very gently highlight some of that darkness as well with some white streaks. I'm just going to be playful with it, but that's quite nice. I quite like that dark, and you can put more dark in your sky if you want to. That would be perfectly okay. And to make our sea, what we're going to do now is we're going to make our sea, and then we'll put the buildings in over the top. We're going to start our sea, because what I want to do is create it with the same colours that are in the sky. So there's going to be a lot of that silvery colour that we've just used, that kind of, it's like a mauvey colour, isn't it, I suppose. But to start with, that first bit of sea at the back, before we bring in the wave over here, I just want to get some of that painted in so we can paint the buildings on top. So I think it might be a good idea to start with some pink and yellow again, and add in a bit of white. Am I on the screen here? The thing with having the camera above my head is I can't really see what's happening on the screen. So we want a bit of pink and a bit of yellow and a bit of white to reflect what we did in the sky. And what I'm going to do in a second, I'm just going to start this bit, and I'm going to take a little bit of water on my brush, and I'm going to take some of this colour here that we mixed as well. I might have to remix some actually. Some blue and some pink. Some white. I might leave the black for now and just have it quite silvery. And I'm going to start adding, just gently adding some of that in there. That's way too dark, so I'm just going to take a load of white and pale it. And then I'm going to go back to my peachy pink and white colour and bring all of those colours in together for the sea. And this may take a little bit of playing around, because that's, I don't really like that. So I'm going to go over that with some white and yellow and pink. I'm going to swirl my brush out. I'm going to take some of that purpley colour and pop it over this side for the edges of this C. I'm not happy with over here, so I'm going to leave it to dry for a minute. I'm going to start these edges. We've got like paint on the computer. I'm just going to show you the picture again. So I'm just going to paint these little edge bits here for a minute. With that silvery purple colour. And I'm just bringing it in so that we've got stripes of it. And then I'm hoping that what will happen is we will bring in the yellowy, pinky, nice colour through that in a minute. And we're going to sort that bit out in a minute. That's gone a little bit wrong over there. So I'm going to mix a little bit more of this purpley colour. Okay. And you're going to get different shades of it as you mix it, I suppose. It's definitely different this time, but that's okay. And we want it to ripple in. I'm just going to take a bit of white on there as well. And we're going to do this all the way to the bottom of the canvas. Take a bit of white in when you need it. I'm going to turn the canvas round just a minute to help with that. So I'm just adding a bit of white to this silvery purple colour that we've got here. I'm just going to go over all this bit. Taking a little bit more white on my brush just to kind of blend some of that through there. And hopefully over here might be a bit drier and we can re-go over that. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to do what I first did, because I think actually most of that over there is orangey and the similar colours to the sky, and the purples and silvers are more in this sea and in this wave. So I want that background bit to be more yellow, the yellow and pink and the white. So back to that nice corally colour. And I'm just gonna, might take a couple of coats to get rid of that. Just gonna take some white, go over it. I'm making that, in fact I'm just going to take white in case you've done it like me, because I mean those buildings are going to be on here anyway in a minute, but just to start paling that out and getting it a bit more like the colour we want. So pink and yellow and white to really get that nice That's better. Starting to look a bit better anyway. And I'm going to work on that anyway because I want to make it a little bit more corally. So I'm going to let that bit dry off. We're going to paint our buildings in next. Paint our little buildings in. And then we will come back to building on this sea and making up this wave. I might even do some more with the clouds. I might make the clouds a bit more spectacular than what we've got here. So bear with me on that one. So to make our buildings, what I'm going to suggest that we do, mine's really not very straight. I've really not made a very straight line there at all. So if you want to straighten things up, now is the chance. I'm just going to dry mine off a little bit so that I can maybe put some masking tape across to help myself get a bit more of a straighter line on that where our buildings come in. So bear with me a minute, put me on pause or mute me while I try for a minute. So as you're painting along with me as well, bear in mind that when you've painted your sky, if you're kind of not quite happy with the colours and you want them darker or you want more clouds in it, then like play around with that. It's not a problem to play around with it more than I have done. That's not long enough. Which I think I'm going to go back to after anyway. I might put some more. I think we need it whiter in here, and I think we need it, yeah, we need some more of this purpley cloud going on. So I might play around with that in a little bit as well. So I'm just going to make, try and get the masking tape long enough, a straight line for my horizon, which will hopefully be a bit straighter. Pop these buildings in, and I know technically they're not exactly straight, they're kind of like jaggedy anyway, but I'm going to straighten them up, and then we're going to put that, you see that black line, like the going out to sea thing, the pier things or whatever they are. So I'm going to have all of these kind of back buildings straight across my masking tape, and then with those we'll add in some lines that are sort of those, I don't really know what they are, those little sticky out things that like go in the sea. So we're going to use some blue and black because we've got the blue in the painting, and you know how I like to harmonise things. So we can use, what brush would we use? Let's use a, you can probably stick with the 1-inch brush if you want to for now, because we've got quite a chunk of, yeah, I'm going to stick with the 1-inch brush because it is quite a chunky dark area that we're doing. So we should be good to chunk. There are a few little trees in the background as well, so we'll see about how we do that. But I'm going to start with my 1-inch brush. If you want to go smaller, then use something smaller. I'm going to use a bit of blue. I'm going to take a bit of blue and a bit of black and mix them together, so we've got quite a dark colour. I'm going to take a tiny bit of white just with that to make it a little bit grayer. Hopefully you can see that a little bit bit more black. Because we've got a little section at the back that's maybe a little bit more in the distance. So I'm going to paint that bit in first. And it's not really that high. It's kind of... We're just going to paint it across. So there's nothing... We're just painting like a shape, if you like, rather than painting anything in. So just going across with a little bit of a lighter shade there, just slightly lighter. And then what I'm going to do is keep what's on the brush and add some black to that shade that we just did. So it's hopefully going to show up a bit darker when we paint it across like this. So we paint over that little bit with a darker section. And I'm going to kind of paint this all the way across to about, maybe about just more than like a double, I don't know what you call it, like a couple of centimetres across from there. We want to have this, maybe this tall building in here. So to do that, I'm just going to pull in like a square shape for now, so that I know to paint up to there. And we're just going to paint that in with black. I'm going to take a little bit of water to just smooth that across. We're just going to do this in a chunk, if you like, because I want it a little bit abstract-y in the background. And we're going to add to... That's going to need... I'm going to blacken that up because it's too light. So I'm going to take a bit more black. This little building has got like a thing on the top as well, so we'll do that. I will paint that in a minute. Just want to darken this up so that it's just really on a slope, I guess, and it helps with that, with the masking tape being there, because you can kind of make it a bit messy. So that little background bit, I'm just going to take a tiny little dot of white again to go back to that little bit grayer colour, because mine's gone a bit patchy over here. So I'm going to make that into the background and then go back to my black again to make it sure it's darker over the top. Not sure if that is darker, so play around with it. And I can't wait to see your version of this. So for the top of that little building, I'm just going to switch over to a filbert brush and just make like a little square on the top of that building. And square this off a little bit as well. It doesn't need to be too perfect, just an impression. And then I'm going to finish off the end of that black bit with some more black. So the blacky grey colour, and we just have it. Ooh, I'm a bit watery there, so I'm going to go over that in a minute when that dries off, because that's a bit faint, but that's okay. It's just because I've used too much water. I'll wait for it to dry off and I'll add some more. And then what I'm gonna do with this little bit is I am gonna get my, maybe just the filbert brush and make some, there are definitely some impressions of some little trees and stuff in the background, so feel free to play around with it in your little way, and you can make as many little, you know, just little impressions of some trees in a few places if you want to. Just dab in with the brush. You can maybe put a few little lines and just dabbing it along there. So wherever you want to put those in the background, feel free to do so. You can pull some little lines down for the impressions, and then people can make their own impressions. They might be more buildings in the background, they might, you know, as long as there's just some little lines and things, it'll look like something. In the background there, so we'll just do that, and then we're going to make some little lights on these, in these areas as well. I'm just going to dry that off a tiny bit so I can blacken that in, and then we'll put our lights in. Less water, Lucy-Loo. Just got a little bit of black left there, so hopefully that's gonna darken it up a bit. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so that looks quite nice, doesn't it? And I think I let you play around with putting your little bits in there in the background, but as you can see, if you just make little marks with the brush, it's so far away in the distance, as long as you've got a few marks and stuff, it'll really look like something's going on there. So I think what we need to do next then, rather than putting too much detail on, I don't like putting too much detail on things like this, so I'm going to take like a little liner brush, and I'm just going to put in, there's a few lights in front of this building here, and there's a couple of lights over here, so I think if you take your little liner brush, and if you take some, just take a little bit, maybe like that peachy colour, so I haven't got much yellow left on mine, but I've got this peachy colour happening in here, and we can take that and add some white to it, so it's quite bright. And we just want to pop in some little dots really with your liner brush of where some lights might be on your building, or I think those lights are actually in front of the building. They might be in front of the building, so we'll make them. Yeah, but you could pop some very faint little windows in here. Remember we did it on the Cityscape? Just some little dabs really, and then it starts coming to life and looking a bit like a building. And then wherever you want to put a few little dabs, you can add some little lights in across some areas. I'm just going to make it up completely, just pop these little dabs in, and then we're going to, that's all we're going to do. That's all I want to do with this one, because I don't want to make it too complicated. I think it's really easy to, I was going to put a little couple more down the front, but I think it's really easy to start getting into too much detail and yeah, it's good to have less detail. So just drop a few little dabs in there, maybe put a couple over here. And we're going to put those lines into the sea anyway. So that's all I would do with that, and then we can remove our... Oh, mine's gone through because I used too much water. So if you've got this little problem, I'm going to see if it just comes off with water. Yeah, it should do. So I'm just using the brush with a bit of water, and it kind of blends it out there. Wouldn't be too bad if we had a bit of a shadow of that building, that lot in the sea anyway, so it's not too bad if we just pull some of that down. So if that's happened to you, make it into a shadow in the sea. So the next little thing we're going to do on this, to start to bring this alive now, is I want to go over, I'm going to put some more white in the sky, and I'm going to maybe put some more of that purple in the sky as well. Because I really want to brighten that sky up. We're going to play with this part of the sea, and then finish with our wave and put those, whatever they're called, pier things, into the sea to bring it all alive. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my 1-inch brush again. I need some more yellow, so I want it to be quite yellowy and bright. So I'm going to take some yellow and white. I'm going to need some more white as well. And I'm going to see if I can brighten this sea up a little bit to start with, which you might not have a problem with yours. You might have been all right. But I'm just scraping in some white and yellow there to really highlight some of that. Take some of that darkness out. Be good to bring some of this in over here now as well, to mix in with the purple. And you might want to make it a bit, I'm going to make it a bit more, you know, that peachy colour over this side, because we've got quite a nice peachy patch going on here. So letting that kind of intertwine with the purple. Should be quite nice. Some little darker patches is fine if it's like more pinky in areas, because I don't think, like, when I do something like this, I wouldn't try and make it, you know, the exact pink spot in the exact spot it's on in the picture, if that makes sense. So I just put some darker bits and some lighter bits. I think I've tended to go lighter up here where the light is reflecting, which I'm going to put more in the sky in a minute. So it is lighter up here, and then we've got more of the pinky orange down here. But a lot of this is now going to be the purpley silvery colour. So we just want some of those patches in there. And I'm just going to take a little bit of white again and just highlight this bit where it is quite a bit lighter. And we'll let that reflect in the sky. So I'm just going to do that now actually. We take a little bit of white on the brush and I'm going to make some more whiter parts in that sky. Just really gently letting the brush move over, and because my brush has got some of that rose colour in it as well, even though I'm just kind of using white, it'll be blending in with that nice rose in the sky. I think that makes quite a lot of difference. That looks quite nice with that white stretch there. And I'm going to take a bit more white again and still go over this patch in the sea where that white really kind of reflects in there. Nice. I'm quite happy with this. I'm going to make this a little bit more rosy over here, I think. And then we will get on to our wave bit. So I'm just really adding a bit of pink and yellow, more pink and white really over here to make it a bit more rosy like, but that's fine. Okay, so we'll darken our sky in a moment. Now what we're going to do to, actually we will need a little bit more sea down here before we put this wave in. So if you haven't got your sea far enough down, then continue with me for a minute and we will finish with some yellow, the rosy colour anyway, the kind of I think we want to bring it kind of all the way to if we do it all the way across, then we're good, because, well, we can leave this bit, but then we've got a bit of a base. It doesn't matter if you paint all of it in, just at least some of it. So we've got a base for this. This wave's gonna come over here and down, hopefully. This is the tricky bit now. So, and we're gonna fill in all the rest of this with the purpley colour, so we're going to be going back over that. So what we're going to go back to now is our pink and blue and white. We don't need, we might need a little bit of black with that as well, but at the moment we'll just start with those colours. Again, I'm going to use my 1-inch brush. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create the colour first. So we get a bit of pink on our brush. Find a little spot on your canvas. Get some pink, get some blue. Find that kind of silvery, purpley, mauvey colour again. Take some white. Don't worry if it's not the same shade. You know, it's fine to have different shades of this in the sea. In fact, it'll make it look more natural anyway. So I'm just gonna go with that colour for me, and we're gonna start, like, you might want to dry this off. This might not work, so I might dry mine off in a minute, but we'll see. I'm gonna put in a bit of a line here from where your wave is gonna go across, and then it's gonna pull down here. Okay, so we want to just put in a brief little marker of that wave. Don't worry if it's not too it's just an impression for now, so that we can build on that. And this bit here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my canvas. Which way is going to be easiest? No, we might be all right. We might be all right. Because what we want to do is we want to get, that bit's going to be going over here, which is fine. And you just want to play around with that because we can build on it. And then we want this bit underneath to come down the opposite way. So we kind of want it swooping out like this. We've done this before when we've painted one of the waves. And we want it to kind of swoop into the sea there, into all this silvery purpliness. So we're just going to have to do it stage by stage. You can take a little bit of white as well if you need to. You can start remixing your colour if you need to. Add some more pink to it, add some more blue to it. And don't be afraid that it's a different... It just takes some building up here, really, and swooping. As long as you've got that kind of swoopingness, it's actually quite good with a bit of dark blue in it now. And then we'll build on this. But as long as you're... It doesn't swoop down so much on this bit. So we want to sweep it round. I'm just going to show you with the brush. And then we can fill all this in. Okay, so you can start to see that it's taking shape now. So I'm just going to use a bit of water on my brush. I'm going to mix some more of that purple colour. And don't really worry about the colours right now, because as long as you're getting some kind of colours in, and it's more the direction of it that we want, and then we can start playing around with like pulling some white in here like this. We just have to start building it now. You might need to play around with a bit of adding some of the pink in here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of pink on my brush now and add some of that in as it swoops up through the wave a little bit. And maybe even take a bit of yellow to go with that to get some of that rose colour in there. Because some of it's purple, some of it's rose. It's just a mixture of all of those colours, really. But we just want to get that swooping effect in first. And then we can build on our wave. And over here, under the wave, I'll show you in a minute, but we need to darken that bit up. And then the wave over the top will be a little bit kind of lighter. So let's go back to our silvery colour, which mine has gone a little bit more blue now, which is fine because all of those colours are in there. And we just want to start getting these, just let all of these colours sort of mingle in with each other. I'm going to just turn it round because it's tricky. This is just our base one anyway, because then we'll finish off the wave with adding in darker and lighter bits. It's a little bit tricky, this painting, but we're getting there with it for sure. It's just about the curving of that C. If you get that bit right, you're halfway there, because you want that C to look like it's really coming up. So I'm going to take a little bit of black and mix that in with my silvery colour and a little bit of white as well. So I'm getting kind of a grey purpley silvery colour. And I'm going to start pulling that down through this wave now as well. So we've got some darker colours going on there. Okay, and I'm sweeping the wave round a little bit more so it's really strong up here and it really curves round. I'm also going to take some white and just pull some of that through. Starting to come to taking a shape now. Don't worry about this top wave bit yet because we will deal with that. I'm just going to do this dark a bit. So start to darken up under here, underneath that wave where it's going to break. You can very much, don't be afraid to take a little bit more black there because it really will be dark because it's the shadow of that wave over the top. So I'm just going to take in some dark there and bring it through into the sea. And the top bit of that wave, I'm going to take some white again to bring that over. And the same with some of that over that bit. And you can start doing that on this bit as well. So you can start curving the wave over a little bit, just using your 1-inch brush there and starting to give a little bit of the wave coming over. So now your job is to keep playing around with these colours and keep darkening and lightening and seeing what makes sense really. This wave definitely is more silvery over here. So I haven't finished that underneath bit, so I'm going to have to go back to that. Hope we're going to get this one finished today in our time, I'm not sure. Because over here we want it to swoop less. So I'm going to take some of the peachy colour and we'll have to go back over that wave in a minute. But I want to take some of this and fill this in. If you've got any gaps now, this is your time to fill them in a little bit. And start to it doesn't really matter, just colour it in because we can just colour it in. We can go back over that wave bit in a minute, but I'd missed that bit out. So, but as you can see here, we're just gonna swoop it down a little bit because we don't want it it kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It swoops There's a lot of swooping over here and then it's less swoopy over here. So it's a bit of a trick, but just play with it. Play with it, play with it. Really, that's the way you can do it. It's starting to come together nicely, isn't it? What does it look like on the screen? Is it looking all right? So we need to make this bit more of a feature here, which we're going to do, I think, in a minute. And it does go over a little bit further along. So I'm going to take a bit of white and just start letting that wave kind of ripple out over here. So you're going to have to let some of that dry off so we can do that big bit in a minute and then add to the white. And we want to start making it look a little bit, we need some little darker spots in here as well so that they're highlighted. So we're going to take some more blue and black together to get some of those darker spots in the sea. So if you add some more blue and black on your palette, you could use a fan brush. I'm going to try with a fan brush, and also if you have a chalk brush, these are very good for creating some waves. So we're just going to go with the fan brush for a minute, and I'm going to dip it in a little bit of water, and we're going to take some more of that blue and a little bit of black to get quite a nice dark colour for some of these spots. And in fact, if we do this on here, it'll really start to give us somewhere that the white can grip to. So we're just going to like make it in little places, and this wave that's coming over here as well, if we start putting in some of the dark bits of that and building on that underneath shadow bit. So if we just start playing around with this a little bit with a few darker spots, you don't need to be too just letting those bits come down, letting it trail through. You're welcome to take a bit of water. I'm going to take a bit of water and kind of blend those bits, those darker bits in now a little bit. Maybe put some over here as well. You could take just some of the blue actually. Some of the blue might be nice. With maybe a little bit of white, and bring some of that blue through there. Just let all these colours mix and blend together now. To get some That's nice. That's looking really nice, I reckon. I'm just going to take a bit more white over here, just on this bit, and start pulling some of that through. Just be a little bit playful with it. There isn't actually, like, the wave is definitely here, but there isn't much of this wave really breaking here. It's just starting to do something. So just playing around and adding, once you've put those dark bits in, just maybe dabbing away with the fan brush is gonna make it look like that wave is starting to break there. So I'm just dabbing it on the edges, kind of thing, so it's a bit more foamy, which starts to make it a bit more lifelike, I suppose. Hopefully. What's it looking like on the screen, ladies? I'm not seeing any comments anyway, so, but it's definitely starting to come together. I think this bit needs maybe a bit of darkening up, so I'm going to take some black and white together, so we really start bringing that wave in there. And I'm going to highlight that with some white in a minute. Yeah, that looks quite cool, doesn't it? It's definitely looking a bit cool. And I'm going to add some of that darker black and blue still underneath that wave a little bit. I think we still need to darken some of that area up a little bit. And then we'll go back over with the white. Yes, I'm starting to really like this. And then I'm going to do the same over the edge, over the end here. I'm going to dab some white bits on. And I think if you start to do this with yours, you'll start to see it come into life a bit. And start putting some of these white streaks in here as well. And letting maybe the sea be a bit foamy. Oh, I need a bit more white again. Definitely just playing around with that, with the fan brush there, with that particular wave. I'm making it a little bit bigger than what it is on the picture, but I quite like this. Now we've got some of those darker bits in. You can just let the sea foam just be a bit funky. And over here as well, as the wave kind of ripples off into the sea. I'm really pleased with that. It's really looking quite nice, I reckon. You can always add, I'm just going to add a little bit more white to some of this around the back, just to give it a bit more of a foamy look when it's starting to just over those darker spots, giving it a bit more of that foam. And obviously with your wave, like this one isn't really crashing on this picture, but I've added a bit more foam because it just gives it a little bit more. I think it looks good. You can't go too wrong with the foam really either, because it really just goes everywhere, doesn't it? So I think that's yeah, looking good, quite cool. So now one of the things you can do if you really want to is, I'm maybe potentially just going to go over some of this and make it a bit more peachy in places. So I'm going to use my fan brush and do that. So I'm going to take some of that pink and yellow and white and maybe make it just highlight some of that peachiness there with the fan brush. Yay! It's quite nice, isn't it? And you can, if you want to, re-highlight over here where that light is hitting, and you can put that in the sky as well with the fan brush. I'm going to still go over this, I think, in places. Yeah, it's looking quite nice. It's quite a tricky one to paint, this. Okay, so one last little bit in the sea because I'm really fussy. I just want to put a little bit more pinky orange down here. It's actually really nice colours together, aren't they? So the only thing left to do, if you want to play around with I was going to play around with the sky a little bit, wasn't I? So we can play around with that purplyness in the sky a little bit with some blue and pink to get that deep purple. I might get a little bit of a deeper shade with that. So I'm going to do it with the fan brush because we've got the fan brush, and I'm just going to lightly sort of let the brush just flick around a little bit because it's quite wispy. So just letting it be really wispy. In places. And you can build this up as much as you want or as little as you want, and have some more darkness in the sky. Maybe Maybe just going to put a little strip over here, like by the white as well. It's not even loads, it's just a bit more of an impression in the sky, because then we've got a lot of dark and a lot of light, and then we're going to, oh, we're nearly finished, yay. We're a little bit early today. We're going to finish off with those black things. I still don't know what you call them, but we'll go for calling them peers. I'm going to use the angle brush. We'll try an angle brush. Ta-da! Little angle brush. I'm going to use a bit of black, and I am going to add some blue to it so that it's not just completely black, although for the purpose of this painting it's probably quite all right. We might need a little bit of water. Just to help that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where that building is, I'm going to kind of go zoom and just guess, really, and pull in the first little line that's kind of like under here. Now that's not very straight, and I don't really know how to make it any straighter, and I'm not too bothered. But I'm gonna pull it up a little bit. If you want to make yours straighter, I don't really know what to suggest. I'm going to turn it this way because I find it easier to do it. So I'm going to do the other one from here and kind of pull it at an angle into the sea. It doesn't really matter that they're not the same as what's on the picture. Who cares? They're still going to look really cool. And then we're just going to take, like, I'm just going to start with where this one ends. There's a couple of little dots in the sea. And then as you get onto it, you can start making them a little bit bigger. And just pulling those lines down. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same with that one. I know my angles aren't quite right because the painting goes that way and mine are coming out that way. So they're definitely not quite right, but never mind. And I'm going to just pull in these lines for these ones. There, let's see how they look. Well, they look all right to me, not too bad. Maybe they could be better. So maybe I'm going to make this like a little bit thicker. Yeah, that looks a bit better. And I think maybe the same with this one. Maybe a little thicker and I don't know if that looks any good or not. I really like the rest of the picture, but I'm not sure if I am that happy with those. But there we go. That's all there is to it. They're there, they're in, and maybe I need to practice those. But anyway, it looks pretty cool to me. I might add a few little white bits around those to give it a little finishing touch of like ripples in the water, maybe. Yeah, that looks quite cool. there we go. Okay, I'll be interested to see how you guys do those things. Definitely, if you're watching this and you haven't already painted, I would do those at a different angle. I think I came out too far with them, but that's okay. They look all right to me. Okay, so we finished a little bit early today, I think. I'm interested to see, yeah, how yours goes and how you play around with it, but I'm quite happy with my wave. Not too bad. Maybe actually, yeah, I'm going to play around with that just for a minute while we're still a few minutes. I think I would add some more. I'm going to add a little bit more white with the with my fan brush. Yeah, I quite like just trailing some more white through there actually. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, well, I would play around with these kinds of things for hours and always messing about with it. Yeah, nice. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop and we're going to finish off for today. So thank you very much for joining me. And it's been quite a good learning curve for this one. Because, yeah, it'll be cool to see how you guys do. I still want to play around with it. This is the problem when you love it. Just want to keep playing with it. Yeah. I suppose really seafoam just goes everywhere and it doesn't really, you can't really get it right or wrong. It just is. Okay, I'm going to stop. Thank you so much, ladies, and I will see you next week. Next week is the 5-day challenge, so it's going to be a bit mental, but we will be painting and we will paint just a little bit earlier because the challenge is at 12 o'clock every day. So we'll probably paint at 10 o'clock instead of 11 o'clock. But I will drop a message in to remind you and confirm that. And I'll see you then. Take care and enjoy your week. Thank you.